Hello and welcome to a special that is specifically geared for owners of mortgage companies, their managers, and their team leads to be able to build the absolute best scenario for your company, for your team, for your loan operation. And today we have a very special guest in Glenn Clark. Glenn, you have created an incredibly unique platform that's called Browse Lenders. And what we're going to do today is have a conversation about how really to help loan officers, managers, and owners of their companies overall, and also be pointing out that this tool that you made in Browse Lenders can be certainly one of the things. And one of the biggest objections you have in any sales position, especially in lending, is how can I stand out? Because really, you're selling money. Like, how can you be any different than anyone else around you? And this is a problem that literally the entire industry has to wake up and address every single day, because every day someone new passes the test and enters the fold. Well, how do I stand out and actually be meaningful in the market in this sea of loan officers?
Joe, that's a very good question. Today's market, for a loan officer to stand out or a mortgage company to stand out, credibility is essential. And credibility far exceeds just the standard interest rate or your margin, being in a position to cut your margin. Credibility is essential. Being in a position to have a position of authority as a loan officer is paramount, especially in today's market. So it's positioning yourself as a loan officer as someone of authority without stating that you are someone of authority.
So like actually earning it instead of just saying you have it.
Exactly. And or being where the consumer is online searching and they come across you and then they see that this is someone that has authority. Browse Lenders does that. It allows for the loan officers to have an authority domain that's either in their area and or a niche that they have. So if a consumer is searching and they come across refi mortgage broker, they would assume that that loan officer has authority to provide refinances and be authority within that particular niche. Browse Lenders provides that in conjunction to being one of 6 exclusive lenders in a particular state. So it's a vetted list of lenders that provides an additional layer of authority and credibility within the consumer's eyes.
And that makes a lot of sense because, as you said, you can't just buy authority. You know who someone is because they earn it. And your platform only having 6 people on it shows that, hey, my people have authority, which ipso facto means my company has more authority. But one of the hard things to come across is something that you mentioned in your last statement there is credibility. At the very nature of having to get a loan, you have this problem that says, I need to be able to give knowledge about myself that is actually going to someone I can trust and actually going to be the person. This isn't going to India or going to be have my information sold on the black web. How do you get that element of having credibility established through your platform?
Well, the credibility is established when your referral sources, such as realtors, attorneys, CPAs, HR departments with large employee populations, bring their clients, bring their unique lending scenario directly onto the platform. When these entities, these referral sources, affinity groups, upload that unique lending scenario, and then they have a vetted list of 6 lenders that are providing solutions to that unique lending scenario, it provides that instant credibility. It provides the solace that that referral source is seeking in this ocean of lenders.
And that makes a whole lot of sense. You're bringing the credibility in, not just from the own platform, but from all the fact that you had to be vetted to get there. You had to be able to be referred to be there, and there's all these extra layers there, because this isn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't just a cut a check and anyone can sign up for it type thing. This is, you actually have to be meaningful and be able to produce when you're there. And I'm assuming that this combination of being credible, being authority, leads to some serious results for the loan officers, probably both in terms of relationships, but let's not ignore the fact people want to make some sales. I'm assuming that's part of the byproduct of using your platform as well, correct?
Of course, you have the ability to dominate in that particular market because you are selected as one of 6 lenders within that state. When your referral sources come online and submit their unique lending scenario, you're ahead of the game. It's more along the lines of a collaboration instead of begging for a lead, begging your referral source for business. You're collaborating to provide a solution upfront without chasing the lead, without seeming desperate. Because let's face it, loan officers are 100% commission. So there's a long line of desperate loan officers consistently contacting these referral sources. So we remove that, we flip that, and we allow for the loan officer to get business through collaboration, if you will, being selected instead of chasing.
That's such a foreign concept. I mean, you looked at right now on LinkedIn, where this is getting published live right now. There are 50 million companies about going out, and for a nice way of putting it, as you just said, begging the center of influences, please pay attention to me, please look at me, please care. And because your platform solves so many problems for the center of influences, which we can get into later, they want to come to you because I know it's credible. I know that going and getting a loan is, first off, it's one of these things I can get told no to, and it can be a long process that I get told no at the end at. But if I can work with multiple different people at the same time and at least get an answer up front of, I can help you, we're probably not a good fit or whatever, you're saving time rather than getting sucked into someone's trap. As you said, they can be desperate. They just want to force a loan through. But hearing multiple different answers to how your loan puzzle could be solved is a tremendous benefit. And it does stand the reason that this is wildly different, which goes back to the first question. How do you stand out? You be different. You have credibility. You have authority. You start adding all this up, it kind of seems like, how is it not going to answer in results for everyone? Now, obviously, there's no one that says we're guaranteeing that you as a loan officer are going to have more sales or whatever, but what you're going to have is more opportunity. You know, if you show up with the worst product every time, you're probably not going to work. But assuming that you are still vetted and being competitive as everyone else is, I don't see how this doesn't become an instant value add for anyone who implements this into their team. And I guess I'll dive into that question because we want to talk about exclusivity as well a little bit later on. But one of the questions that I have for you here is, from that manager's perspective, knowing simultaneously how hard it is to hire someone to be the best fit for your company, and also knowing that I don't want to be the guy who's just making the next level of all-stars just to see them leave. How can this browse lenders tool be used as basically the ultimate weapon for getting the best people and getting them to stay within my firm?
You know, Joe, that's a very good question. And you touched on that. You touched on value that's being added. It provides the owner of a mortgage company, the team lead, the operation manager, the ability to act on urgency for that top producing loan officer, or that loan officer that has the ability to be better tomorrow than they are today, without having the tools available. The owner of a mortgage company, operation manager, team lead, has the ability to acquire one of 6 positions within the state. And moreover, they have the ability within all 50 states to acquire a position within that particular state or a state. That gives them leverage. That gives them a bargaining tool of urgency that they have to use when speaking to these top producing loan officers, or loan officers that they feel have the ability to be better, again, as mentioned, tomorrow than they are today. It gives them a position of instant value, a position of instant credibility, by aligning themselves with the Browse Lenders platform, so that they are listed as one of 6 and do receive that authority non-compete landing page funnel that brings in business. It's a tool that isn't used in today's market. It's a conversation that isn't provided in today's market. The conversation in today's market to recruit loan officers is, we have a better culture here. We have a better comp plan here. The benefits are better. However, the tools to produce business is regulated to, here's a list of realtors, contact them. What we are providing is a platform where the realtors, CPAs, attorneys come to you. They come to you with their lending scenarios. HR companies with their employee populations come to you so that you can provide value in situations like that. So these owners, team leads, operation managers have leverage that most companies don't have when they utilize the Browse Lenders platform.
That makes a lot of sense. And as you're saying that, I'm trying to think of this from the perspective of the loan officer on the ground. And normally on the ground, it's true, they're bound inside an actual financial lending space on the first floor, looking out their cubicle window, and they have a jurisdiction, if you will, like there's an area of operation. And by the nature of this being an online based product, you have now opened it up literally to the size of their entire state. So it's not just within the couple of school districts that they might be living in, but actually the entire size of the state. So that range multiplier, and on top of it already being a successful tool, but now I have people from cities, counties that I have never been into, may never even go to, reaching out to me, and I get to be one of the suppliers for that area. Is just a massive competitive advantage that, again, I kind of think we might have buried the lead in that, because you're given so much. So someone comes in, they get this, they get the credibility, they get the authority, they get to range to everywhere. I mean, at the end of the day, does giving me an extra $30 off my deductible for health insurance, or getting the ability to sell to everyone in the state and do it in a much easier fashion because they're coming to me, it kind of seems like a no contest if you actually like lay it out. And this seems like an instant recruiting tool. And
it's a win-win.
There's no limit on the range, because you could have a license, as long as you're licensed to sell in any state. You could be in Texas and sell in Oklahoma. Am I misunderstanding your roles? Or
no, you're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. You can be in Texas, and if there's an available seat in, let's say, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and you're licensed in Pennsylvania, and you have a loan officer that says, okay, yeah, I'll take Pennsylvania, you have the ability to have one of 6 seats in that market.
Okay. So, well, let's talk about that part. This one of 6 exclusivity that you've mentioned here a couple times. I get the part where that means that there's less people to fight with, but from a practical standpoint, does that mean that like I have to pay extra to be the featured guy like you do on Google or something like that? Like, how does this exclusivity thing actually come into play on your platform of Browse Lenders?
That's a good question, Joe. What we do is we make sure that we vet the lenders, vet the companies, so that we are exposing referral sources, attorneys, realtors, CPAs, HR companies with large employee populations, with credible top lenders that are in a position to provide the solutions to the unique lending scenarios that come across the desk. We do the due diligence to ensure that the referral sources continue to provide those unique lending scenarios, to provide those consumers with the ability to have a non-biased approach to finding solutions to their unique lending scenario. And for a top producing lender, a company that wants to stand out, this is a win-win for them. They're not just relying on their loan officer to produce business. What they're doing is giving their loan officer the tools to produce value. And with that value, with that credibility and that authority, it becomes a win-win for that mortgage company, for that team lead, for that operation manager. Because let's face it, then you'll have a loan officer that feels truly like an entrepreneur. That loan officer that knows that they wake up and they don't have to chase leads, chase realtors. They are being invited to the game. They are being invited to provide their solutions to unique lending scenarios, which is not in today's market. It's not. It wasn't in the market when I was a top producing loan officer, co-owner of a mortgage company. It didn't exist, and that's why I built Browse Lenders, because it wasn't there. I built it for what I would have wanted as a lender, a top producing lender, or just a loan officer that's trying to be a top producing lender, a top producing loan officer. So yeah,
it certainly seems that's what could naturally happen. So again, I apologize if I'm recapping and I'm sounding stupid. I just want to make sure I'm digesting this.
Yeah.
That you just said in your last answer, Browse Lenders itself is actively reaching out to referral partners, the CPAs, the realtors, bringing them to the platform, and then on the platform itself, I'm one of only 6 people in which they can send that scenario to. So as I see it, you're beyond just making a relationship with the best realtor in town where, okay, you that's one. You're getting realtors across the state coming to you and continually getting those center of influences to create connections and relationships with you. And that's something that is remarkable. So first off, is that correct? Am I putting something on your product that it's not? I don't want to misrepresent it. Is that the way it is?
That's exactly the way that it is, Joe. And you're 100% correct. Imagine if you're fracking for oil. You're in one location, and that is where you have to farm. However, imagine if you're in your office and you have a company that's fracking for that same oil all over that particular state for you. You don't have to worry that if I don't make my 20 calls for today, I won't solidify a relationship with one real estate agent when there's a line of lenders making those same calls. what we do is we do the due diligence, our sales team, and we bring in the attorneys, realtors, CPAs, companies with large employee populations into the platform. We give that awareness so that they know that there's a platform that provides for their employees, for their clients, the ability to have a non-biased solution provided by 6 lenders within that state, not one, not two, 6 lenders within that state that has the ability to provide these solutions in real time, giving that employee, giving that referral client autonomy, if you will, and the ability to know that these solutions are being provided by top lenders and vetted lenders that are on the Browse Lenders platform.
That is awesome. So as I'm going through the totality of this, you have more people who are doing easier to do sales. It doesn't matter how talented your salespeople are. If it's easier, they'll do better. And that seems like just pretty basic math that your company is going to do better. And, that's one of the things that in our pre-conversation really kind of stood out to me here was that you get the ability, and your analogy of being able to frack in all of the state without having to hustle and be in all those places is a tremendous benefit of the industry that no one's doing. And that's what I love about this, is that getting people excited to come to you is one of the hardest things in all of sales. I mean, look at how much money is spent economy wide on marketing, and your platform is accomplishing this in a way that no one else is, because it's needed from their perspective, from the CPA's perspective, from the loan officer's perspective, and from the realtor's perspective. So if I'm looking at this now from like putting my realtor hat on right now, a realtor is also a commission only position. And yes, I know how hard it is to get loans. I've been a realtor long enough. There's some closing that sucked and I didn't like it. But if they get the loans easier, my life's easier. I get more sales. I get done faster. So if I can put in what's going on in my world with this client in this moment in time, and know that at least one of these 6 loan officers is going to be able to give a viable solution, I'm using that all the time. And I'm not using the guy who sits in our office who is a pain, always behind, and tells me no all the time. I'm going to go to these 6 guys here because they're going to figure out a solution. They're going to figure out a solution because that's what they do. And they're not bound by one company's policies. So being part of that pie, first off, it seems like that pie would never stop growing. But also being a part of that pie has to lead to security, that even if the market turns bad, because you are the go-to funnel people are going to come to, and also just flat out more volume, seems like a good thing to me. I wish I owned a loan company to hire you right now as I'm saying this, because this seems like a no-brainer. Like yes. Why wouldn't you do this?
Yes. Joe, I firmly agree. You would have to think about it as a win-win scenario for a mortgage company to utilize Browse Lenders and its ability to provide value for not only the mortgage company, but for that loan officer that works for that mortgage company. We create the ability for both to win in the process, both to have the ability to generate revenue without feeling like it's an arduous position for the loan officer to go out there and stand in that long line, as you mentioned, of lenders knocking on the door of that realtor or that affinity referral source. When we utilize our system within the confines of the 6 lenders per state, it produces value, and value produces revenue, and revenue goes up the line to the company owners, and also for that company. So it's essentially a win-win scenario for all involved, all 6 lenders per state, all 6 companies that are hiring these lenders to be represented on that platform, Browse Lenders. It's an amazing opportunity for the company to stand out, to have value added to their name, instant credibility. Because let's face it, when you're a company and your loan officer is Jumbo Lender Texas, or your loan officer is refispecialist.com, then that adds value to not only the loan officer, but the company that loan officer works for. So it's something that sets apart the noise. The noise goes over here, and the value, credibility, authority replaces it, and that generates revenue.
It also seems like a way where an independent or a newly created loan company can compete. Like, because you now are having the ability to have the reach, not just within your own state. You said before that you can reach in other states, that you don't need to be the size of Wells Fargo or Bank of America to be able to have a footprint there. And not to mention, you have a stronger starting point because the leads are coming to you, which leads me into the next question here, which is, this feels like it's so different, and different is scary. I mean, let's not face that. You're going to have people wanting to come to your loan officers rather than them wanting to go out and be the hunters, which is what they are now. They're constantly hunting with a low rate of return based upon their energy and economic investment. It's just part of the game. It's a cost of doing business. It's what everyone else is doing. But you're having it being the leads being sent to me, not just me as an individual, but me and the other 5 people in this state. Yes. So what does that do to the lifestyle of the loan officer? Because to me, that seems like I just freed up a whole lot of time and energy, and I think I like this game a lot more than I used to. Again, you're the one who used to be the top producing loan officer. You tell me, what does that do to it?
Joe, that's a good question. And it changes the game. There's something that you did state. The leads don't just come to me, but essentially the leads do, because every lender that's associated with Browse Lenders receives a non-compete landing page funnel that's attached to an authority domain. So with that authority domain, that loan officer, instead of going where the consumer is, the referral source is, the consumer who's online typing, that authority referral source is online searching, that lender shows up where they are searching, where their target audience is searching. So for the perspective of that empowerment for that loan officer, it changes the game. It allows for a lot of pressure to be relieved from being 100% commission loan officer and on Monday regulated to, okay, now I have to make my 30 calls, my 20, my 100 calls just to stand in a line of other loan officers that are making those same calls. It changes the game. It puts the loan officer in a position to where they see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train. It's actually value, credibility, authority that's provided to them. And that doesn't stop. We continue to make it rain for our 6 lenders per state.
And, I guess it's probably also important to mention that this doesn't exist anywhere else. And you patented this actually to make that happen. And I find that remarkable, just as an aside from our conversation here. And one of the things that really kind of dawns on me is that when you're talking about all of this value you're creating, plus the fact that it's exclusive, it seems that you're kind of doing 2 things here at the same time, which are both positive. For your loan officers who are utilizing this, you're essentially building golden handcuffs. It's golden because they're making all these sales and they're not leaving you because there's only 6 people per state. They won't be able to get into this game because you are the one who has it. So do they want to leave all this behind? Probably not. That's why they're golden handcuffs. But the other part is you were leading them down the road, the loan officers, to be more entrepreneurial based, knowing that they're never going to leave you, is another exponential fountain of inevitable revenue and long-term revenue coming to your company.
Yes.
I know that's something you wanted to mention coming into this recording today, and I want to give you a chance to expound upon that, because this is a thought that's like, it's 2 steps downfield that most people don't even consider. In fact, I bet most people are probably scared of their loan officers becoming entrepreneurial because they'll leave. But you have flipped this to not say, don't be scared, encourage it. How does that actually work?
That's a very good question. It gives that mortgage company the ability to provide something that most just don't have the ability to provide. And that's something, let's say it's a secret sauce that gives that mortgage company, that team lead, that referral, that team lead the ability to give value at time of hire, to give breadcrumbs to more than just a lead list, more than just a one realtor that has the ability to help them with one transaction. Most loan officers, they do maybe 7 transactions a year, and that may take 40, 50 hours of work every week to actually produce that. That would be the 75% of the loan officers. The top 20% of the loan officers would do maybe 15 to 20 transactions a year, with the top 5% doing the bulk of the business. Now, it flips that and allows for the 75% to actually move up to 20%. And imagine if you're a company providing those tools, providing the breadcrumbs to allow that to happen. You'll have a dedicated loan officer that's not leaving. You'll have a entrepreneurial loan officer that sees that they have the ability every Monday when they go into the office to not chase leads, but collaborate with solutions from referral sources that we bring into the platform. It's exposure that they don't have. It's the ability to provide solutions to scenarios that come across their desk. So it changes the game, it changes the approach, and it changes the power for mortgage companies and trust. I owned a mortgage company. I
I see the 3% over your shoulder. You clearly were good at it.
Yeah, it's difficult to recruit top producing loan officers because they don't want to leave. Once a machine is built, they don't want to adjust anything. But if you have a top producing loan officer and you provide value with the ability for that loan officer to continue that machine, or a loan officer that has aspirations to build their own machine, we give that company the tools to make that happen. The exposure that that loan officer needs to have instant credibility, instant value. And that's authority in today's market. There's an ocean of loan officers. Last I checked, there's close to 400,000 licensed loan officers out there. So how do you differentiate yourself in that ocean? If you want to strive to be better, it's a process that may require 80 hours a week. We reduce that and we make it where that loan officer has the ability to be entrepreneurial. That mortgage company where that loan officer works for has the ability to provide those loan officers the tools to make that happen by partnering with browse lenders. Then you'll have a dedicated loan officer that won't leave. You'll have loan officers that want to come in because they see how the other loan officers that work for you are striving, are making things happen, are building instant credibility. So with that in mind, loan officers have that drive to be better than their team member. And these are the tools that the owners can provide loan officers that work for them so that they can be entrepreneurial, so that they can be better. And as you mentioned, the golden handcuffs, they won't leave. They will stay because you're giving them tools that are needed in today's market. It then becomes outside of an interest rate. It becomes better than just reducing your margin to save one deal. It becomes greater than that.
Yeah, that's from just strictly a sales perspective, and that's basically what my life is since I've been 18. What you're doing is that your loan officers aren't going to have to worry about objection battling, as I call it, where how to overcome this objection, but it's more going to be just a ton of logistical conversations. If for no other reason, they're going to have people coming to them instead of having to be fighting downstream.
Yes.
There's a very real chance that your life just becomes infinitely easier because I'm just telling you this is the reality of how I'm going to do it. If you want to be a part of it, cool, come with me. This also adds to confidence, credibility, and authority. I see how it just self-perpetuates itself as it goes here. Because from that sales perspective, it's just we're not talking about a hard gotcha sale. This is the logistics of how it works and how awesome it'll be. If you want to be a part of it, cool. If not, I got 13 other people I got to talk to this morning, and I only got so much time to respond. So there's a natural effect that comes through there, and that level of confidence breeds success regardless of what product you're selling, because you're not worrying about the fear of prospecting. And you had this all up. It's a place I'd rather work at because it's going to make my life easier. It's an ultimate tool. It's giving me reach that is wildly impossible to get. And it's self-fulfilling itself with this standard model of center of influences as well. And just compounding me upon that, you won't lose your people. In fact, it actually is probably the other question of how can I multiply this reach more to give it to more of them? And I really love the part where you made this so that you can be an independent creator of a lending company like you were and still be able to fight with all the big boys. Well, in the in-between time, your individual loan officers on a person-to-person basis have an infinitely better lifestyle than it would be working at one of those major banking or financial institutions by default, just because it's a different style. I mean, that mindset of cold calling, essentially what you described, was cold calling 20 times a day to hope that I can beg to have one person give it to me versus here's my answer. I need help. I'm coming to you. That is a lifestyle difference. That is a business culture changing difference. You know, all these buzzwords people keep saying, and you really have nailed it out of the top of the head. And I apologize, guys, for not clicking the buttons fast enough as we're jumping around to the next topic, because this all does build upon itself so well. But one of the questions I definitely do want to address is when they actually submit their lead, like how does that work? Like what is the loan scenario actually like? Like we keep talking about them, that there's leads coming to you, but like feet on the ground, what's the process?
Okay, that's a very good question. Let's take the real estate agent, for example, with a creative listing. That real estate agent probably has listings that they come across that are creative in nature, which means that they need a buyer that fits a specific parameter, if you will, to ensure that they can actually get that property. So that real estate agent has the ability to log on to browse lenders and create a unique lending scenario, either manually by detailing that scenario or by utilizing our patented process where they have the ability to record a video that details that unique lending scenario.
Okay.
And once that video or that manual lending scenario has been created, they then simply invite lenders to preview that unique lending scenario. And that from that perspective, the real estate owner or the realtor, I'm a real estate broker, I own a real estate company. So I see the value in that alone. However, when you are a loan officer and you are in the position of one of six, it becomes you're adding value because now you're collaborating. You're not chasing a contract in the middle of a process. You're collaborating up front to provide solutions
That's
for
huge.
that unique lending scenario that real estate agent has just submitted for that unique listing that they have. It brings you into the game early, and
Mhm.
it allows for that realtor to acknowledge you, to see you, to understand, oh, I'm working with Jumbo Lender Texas, John, who's providing me the solution. And when I say Jumbo Lender Texas, I'm using that as a tie-in to their authority domain non-compete funnel. So, and that is something that that referral source sees when they're working with the six vetted lenders. They're seeing instant authority based off of the value we're giving instantly, so that when solutions are being provided for that listing agreement, the solutions are instant value, collaboration, solutions. It's an amazing ability to provide these referral sources that normally and traditionally have one or two lenders that they go to. And those lenders, those one or two lenders, are replaced for not being able to to complete a transaction, or they drop the ball. What we're doing is giving that referral source that just uploaded that unique listing scenario six solutions to that one listing scenario. So it's value up front, it's collaboration in the beginning of the process, not in the end. It's you're not putting out fires. It's a way to stand out. It's a way to help. It's a
Yeah.
way to provide value, essentially.
As you're saying that, it makes more sense. If I know from the beginning, all right, say you're the showing agent, you're not the listing agent, that
Yeah,
this is my client. I don't know everything about their financial lives, but I'm going to have them come on here because while I've had plenty of clients before have pre-approvals and the things still go to hell, but these
yeah,
guys can be here from the beginning, actually building a relationship. You made it sound like they're FaceTiming each other or something similar to that. So they actually get to
yeah.
see the property in which they're looking at. And
Hmm.
it might be, like there's things that a lending company won't give a loan because a house has X thing wrong with it, whatever that case might be. I mean, you guys as loan officers know this world better than I do. But if you
Hmm.
could see that up front, you both as a loan officer, you would know, oh, we're never going to get that done. I'm not going to waste my time and try to
Sure,
force this into a round peg because that just kills your credibility. It also
sure.
saves you a whole lot of time, energy, and heartache. And also, it tells a lot of truth to the realtor. This guy's being real with me. He's not just trying to force a transaction. He's actually building a meaningful relationship. And let's face it, the more that AI keeps coming in this world, the more relationships matter more deeper and deeper. And maybe we should have started with that, but that might be bearing the lead. You're actually building relationships instead of transactions. And that's another, again, this whole thing just keeps building upon it. So this is amazing to me. That's another reason that the lenders are going to keep or question, the realtors and the CPAs are going to keep coming back and back because I'm going to get real answers to my problems, and they're not trying to force me into a transaction. Yeah, sure, transaction will naturally follow, but I'll at least have knowledge that they can handle this. So as you said, if I do have a scenario that, like, again, the realtors don't know what the solutions are supposed to be. They think they know, but they don't know. So I think they need a jumbo loan or whatever, but I'm going to send it to all 6 of these guys, and they will then give me different solutions. I can then talk to my client, make sure we get one that's going to go through. So now that I'm showing them the next houses across my next 2 weekends, I know at least I'm going to get paid. It makes so much sense for everyone involved. And as you said, instead of coming out and being a fireman when everything's falling apart, but actually building a foundation that, you actually are going to be able to buy this house. You are going to be able to envision it. And then all these extra elements, not saying there's not always going to be some element that can ruin a closing, but all these extra ones radically diminish. And realtors are going to love it more because they're going to have an easier lives. The loan officers have an easier life. It's clear that you are both on both sides of this fence, as both as a realtor and a lender, because you would have to be intimately knowledgeable in both of these to be able to make a platform that is continuously building. And yes, I am trying to find holes because this sounds too good to be true. I'm trying to find holes. So I'd be like, that's the hidden curtain. But logically speaking, I'm not seeing anything. And I see a scenario where this helps everyone. The reach, the easier to sell, the knowledge up front, the building a relationship, the credibility, the authority that's going to come with it. And I just have to be vetted successful at what I do to be able to be on the platform. And that's a remarkable, life-changing scenario. I mean, the amount of stress it is to do cold calls every single week wears on you. And I know that sucks. But to be able to have people wanting to come to me where I'm not going to them. So therefore I can't be intrusive at all. They are coming to me. Instantly adds, again, more authority and credibility because you're the one you go to the answer. You're not the chaser. The chaser, by definition, seems a little bit desperate by comparison. And your people aren't going to have that. The lenders are coming to you either by leaving a message or typing in some basic mathematical data. This is what's going on, and saying, what can you do for me in terms of an answer? And I know that it's actually going to conclude my sale. That is something that is, again, remarkable. And if I am missing anything, I would like to give you a chance to chime in here, because this is just, this whole thing's remarkable to me. And it makes me wonder why it isn't everywhere. And I think that's when you mentioned in our pre-interview that it's patented. That kind of tells me you can't get this anywhere. But is there anything else that I'm missing that I haven't asked you that I should?
I would say this. Imagine for that referral source to have the ability to tell their story one time, to tell what they need one time. So that real estate agent that I just mentioned with that creative listing or a listing, they tell their story one time. Imagine the consumer telling their story one time. And then that one time they're in a position to send that one scenario to 6 lenders and have the 6 lenders respond to that one scenario, that one ability to say it one time. It reduces time for the referral source. It provides the referral source value in a way that they're not receiving right now. It saves them time. It makes them look good for their clients when they have the ability to say that story, say that scenario, that unique lending solution, that unique lending scenario one time, and then invite the lenders to preview it. It provides instant value for the referral source to be in a position to look good for their clients. The employer with the large employee population to know that their employees are taken care of. It just provides value that isn't seen on the market today. And again, that's why I built Browse Lenders. As a lender, I saw what was missing. As a owner of a real estate company, I see what's missing. I get plenty of emails daily from that long list of loan officers vying for business. However, what are they giving? What do they have to give outside of, well, I can give the lowest interest rate. So now I'm sending my client to one lender under the pretense that they're going to get the lowest interest rate. But it's bigger than that. It's beyond the lowest interest rate. I want to look good as a real estate owner for my clients to let them know that I'm taking care of them. So me sending my clients to 6 lenders for the solutions to their one scenario provides value to me. Instant credibility. It helps that client to know I have their best interest at hand by sending them to a platform that reserves their autonomy. They're not going to be inundated with a lot of calls. I look good because now my client is working with refispecialist.com or jumbolendertexas.com. It provides credibility across the table for the referral source and also for the lender. So especially the owners of the mortgage company who has their loan officer working with Browse Lenders as one of 6 in their prospective state.
And that's a life-changing changer. Sorry, I clicked the button and something glitched, but that seems like just a career and life-changing element. So again, I tried actively to try to figure out where the setbacks could be or why not to do this or the gotcha moments. Because again, I come from the world of sales. It always feels like there's one of the, if something seems so great, there's got to be a gotcha moment. And even to what you were just alluding to in your last answer, why would I send someone whose entire game is to cut prices? Well, that probably means they're cutting service, and that's going to mean that I'm having a worst off scenario. I mean, I've been going through all this, and I'm yet to really truly find the gotcha moment. And I think that there's not one, because being a super successful loan officer and also being a successful realtor,
the ability to,
it's remarkable. So how do they join? If I hear and I want my sales team on board, how do I get them to be a part of Browse Lenders?
It's as simple as going to browselenders.com. On the top header nav, there's a link, join, and you click that link and you're in a position to go to our funnel, join.browselenders.com. You can select your state. You have the ability to select your authority domain that you want and begin the journey. It's an easy process. We created something that allows for the process to go smoothly, and it's as simple as that. It's not difficult. Browselenders.com, header nav, join as a lender. Once you join, you're a part of our family, and we do the fracking for you, essentially.
Yeah, this is, again, this entire thing, knowing how hard it is to stand out from a business standpoint, how hard it is to get prospects, especially prospects that will always come back, which is the gold element of this is the consistency, is that I don't have only sharp summers, but I have year-round consistency.
Yeah,
it's remarkable. And then that's even before we start talking about how much easier it is to recruit other talent and to retain your best and to be able to fight with any other brand that's out there in the lending space. I mean, this is remarkable in the fact that this exists, and your patents are clearly working because there's nothing else out there like this. So Glenn, I thank you very much for having a chance to be with us today and to discuss the awesomeness that is Browse Lenders.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. And thank you for the time. Thank you.
Likewise. I think this was a great episode. And again, please, everyone, reach out to Glenn. Check out his program at browselenders.com.